Hi, thanks again for tuning in to Sin's Workshop. I hope everyone's having a beautiful day and remembering to stay inside as much as possible. Today we're going to be talking about Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin, published by Wednesday Books. This book has been described by publishers as a bloody, thrilling revenge fantasy for girls who've had enough. With that concept in mind, I was very much captivated because the cover, I hate the cover of this book, to be perfectly honest. When I first saw this book, I was just like, what the hell? But the concept did intrigue me. I like a good revenge story, especially when it's also being labeled as a retelling of Macbeth, but from the female perspective. You have Jade, who's Lady Macbeth, and then you have her three friends who are supposed to be the three witches. So I really liked the premise, but when I first started reading it, I was just sort of, the first chapter I thought was good, but everything after that, it felt very disjointed. I really didn't appreciate it at all. To be quite honest, I almost didn't finish this book. There were so many times I just didn't want to pick it back up because I did not enjoy the tone or the narrative, and quite frankly, I hated this book. I have to give it 2 stars, mainly because, I think the premise is decent, and, I like the idea of it. I just think the execution of it was just bad. And I'm a little bit in the minority here. I read online, so I'm like, I can't be the only person who hated this book. Thankfully I wasn't. But there are more people out there who love this book. So, keep that in mind. Reviews are just people's opinions. So I always encourage people, if I don't like the book, yes, go ahead and take my opinion into account. And then, come have a discussion with me if you end up liking the book. If I missed something that you think is important, point it out to me. Maybe it's just something I overlooked or something I missed. But you know what? I just couldn't get over the writing style. I hated the tone. I mean, ironically, she felt not, it's okay to be a man-hater. I'm not saying it's not, especially when you are violated in such a way that it's alluded to how she is violated, So I'm perfectly okay with people hating men. On some degree, I hate men as well. I'm not gonna lie, However, a lot of my best friends are also men as well. My husband is my best friend, and I have a wonderful son. But for the most part, whenever I go out to or when I used to go out to clubs, I hated the men there. I just hated the whole toxic environment, and so I completely understand it. But it was just so off-putting how Capin styles it. I mean, it was very disjointed. It was very stream of conscious almost, but I tend to like stream of consciousness, but it was also, she's a very unreliable narrator, so I just didn't like her tone in the story, and I also wasn't able to suspend my disbelief in the novel quite a lot. I mean, I love that her and her friends are so united. Her and her friends, they are a really good core team, strongly united with one another. But what I didn't like was when she, enrolls in a new school, changes her name, all with her parents' help. I felt like it was all very accommodating. Everyone's so accommodating, and I feel like it turns her into a monster. When you're victimized, I know people cope with it in different ways, but I don't think how letting it turn her into a monster, I don't think that was the good way to go. her hatred and her need for vengeance is understandable, but it's really hard to sympathize with her because she just gets everything handed to her as well, from her friends, from her parents. It's okay for people to be there for you, but when they just kind of hand you everything, they're not really helping you cope, and they're not really helping you recover. And I think that's probably where my issues with this novel stand. And a lot of people out there are probably going to disagree with me with this novel, but I just couldn't get over the writing style. It was so disjointed. Everything's just handed to her. It was very unbelievable how the story moved and progressed. So, especially when you label it as a young adult contemporary fiction novel, I really just didn't appreciate it at all, unfortunately. And I mean, it was a tough read for me. And I've read stories similar to this, before, stories that, have broken my heart. But I think it's better if, the character learns to cope. But also, get her revenge as well. I'm not denying she shouldn't get her revenge. Again, read good revenge stories before. I love a good revenge story. But I think all my problems stem with Jade. She's a very hateful character, and while her hate is understandable, it doesn't make her likable. It makes her very unlikable, very off-putting. The way everything's just sort of handed to her is also very off-putting. It's just like, you need to cope. You need to recover. If vengeance is your way to recover, great, fine. But she seemed very... Is there a word for misogynistic, but towards men? I mean, I felt like that's kind of like what her tone was. I wasn't able to really connect with Jade as a character, and I need to be able to connect to the characters. I thought the opening page was very well done, but everything after that, it just, all the going back and forth between the characters and the dynamics, I didn't really appreciate it. I didn't really like it. And overall, this was not a book that I enjoyed. I didn't enjoy it at all. But I do encourage others to read it. Just give it a shot. If you don't like it, put it down. But if you did like it, come have a discussion with me. We can talk about it. We can, have a discourse about it. My comment section, I don't mind that, because once again, like I said, maybe there's something I missed. Maybe I missed something. But, maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just the style of the writing that just threw me off, and the tone, the entire narrative. The entire narrative. I just didn't really appreciate this novel. It was very hard to get into. It was. I found myself skimming it at points because I was just really turned off by Jade as a character. So I started skimming it, because I at least wanted to finish the story. But I just didn't find myself compelled to read it. I literally had to force myself to finish reading it, or else it was going to go on my very small, practically non-existent did not finish pile, because I need to finish every book that I read. I always make that promise whenever I read a book. Even if I don't like it, I will finish it. And here's proof. Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin. Did not like it one bit. But I toughed it out, finished it, Because sometimes, when I read a book, maybe I don't like the beginning, but I'll love the ending, and it'll make up for all of it. And that did not happen here for me. But once again, Hannah Capin, published by Wednesday Books. Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin, published by Wednesday Books. Please, go ahead and give it a shot. If you like it, great. If you didn't, okay. But, go ahead and let me know what your thoughts were about this novel. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for tuning in on Sin's Workshop here. And have a great rest of your day, guys. Happy reading.